Guys, do you mind if Yuki and I step aside for a moment? There's an injury I want to check one last time before we arrive at headquarters.
Shinobu asked, looking at the Kikuchi members carrying Tanjiro. Go ahead, Lady Kocho. We are going to continue onwards, though, so we can make it a little after sunrise.
Go ahead. Keep going for now, and we will catch up in a few minutes. Tomioka, will you stay with us? I don't want us to possibly get ambushed by a demon.
Sure. I'll keep watch for the two of you while you look at her injury. He spoke, staying close to the path. Shinobu guided Yuki away from the trail, staying fairly close, but far enough from wandering eyes. Yuki pulled away from Shinobu, her face filled with annoyance.
What is going on, Shinobu? You told me hours ago that I didn't have any injuries because of my regeneration. So why are you saying I have one now?
Shinobu was caught off guard by her sudden outburst, but understood why she would be upset.
I know I told you that, but I want to bandage up your arm. I don't want the other Hashira to notice it. What are you talking about, Shinobu? My arm feels fine.
Shinobu sighed.
Unbutton your shirt for me then. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Yuki sighed as well, unbuttoning her top to pull her uniform off her left arm. She looked at it, her eyes widening in fear seeing it. The same markings on her face were now covering almost the entirety of her arm.
Shinobu? How did this happen? We believe it happened when you lost control earlier tonight. More of your power is manifested, so more of your body is becoming demonic. I see. I understand why you want to cover it then. Good. Let's wrap it up quickly then. If anyone asks, you got some deep cuts from a demon claw.
Shinobu carefully and quickly wrapped her arm, making sure everything was covered on it. Once Shinobu was finished, Yuki pulled her uniform back up, before she and Shinobu rejoined Giyu. They quickly caught up with the Kikuchi, soon arriving at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Yuki, Giyu, and Shinobu went to the courtyard, quickly seeing many of the other Hashira there as well. As they walked in, many of them had glares that were being directed towards Giyu. Yuki felt bad, but she didn't dare to say anything. The tension in the air was palpable, but she walked over to stand next to Shinobu. She was worried about what would happen, but decided to keep quiet to let the other Hashira take the lead. Yuki took another glance around, noticing that Sanemi and Iguro were not there. She shrugged it off, thinking they were running behind. She held herself with confidence, but behind the mask she wore, the only thing she felt was fear and anxiety. Tanjiro had been brought out by a Kikuchi member in restraints, before they started yelling in Tanjiro's ear. Hey, get up! How long are you gonna sleep? Get up already! You're in the presence of the Hashira! Tanjiro quickly snapped awake, his gaze falling upon the 7 Hashira who stood before him.
Hashira? What is the Hashira? Who are these people? Where am I?
Yuki watched as Shinobu calmly stepped forward, taking the lead.
This is the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, and you, Tanjiro Kamado, are about to be put on trial.
There is no need for a trial, Rengoku shouted. Protecting a demon is clearly against Corps rules. Let's just lop his head off along with the demons. Yuki looked over at him, evident hurt in her gaze. She quickly looked away, regaining her serious disposition, as she heard Tengen begin to speak. I'll cut his head off with style. Even the blood splashes will have panache. Really flashy. Oh, what pitiful children. How sad, Guillaume said, tears falling from his eyes. It's a tragedy they were even born. Yuki had shifted her gaze again, noticing Mitsuri thinking about something, and that Muichiro was staring off into the sky. Her gaze was brought back to Tanjiro when he frantically began to look around and ask questions. Nezuko! Where's Nezuko? Forget about him, spoke a voice from above. Everyone looked up to see Iguro lying on one of the branches of the tree.
What are we gonna do about Tomioka? Gocho says he broke core rules too. What shall we do about this? How shall he take responsibility? What price shall he pay? Right now, he's just wandering around freely, and that gives me a headache.
Mitsuri had a smile on her face as she looked at Ikaro, and Yuki held back a chuckle, but saw Shinobu step forward to speak once more.
We needn't worry about him. He came along without a fight. I'm more interested in questioning the boy. We can consider a suitable punishment later.
Tanjiro had begun to speak, but started to cough like crazy. Shinobu helped him drink some water she had laced with a painkiller. After composing himself, he began to explain the situation.
Nezuko is my little sister. She was turned into a demon, but she hasn't eaten any human flesh. She hasn't and she won't. Nezuko will never hurt anyone. Stop spewing such nonsense,
Iguro commanded.
I don't trust anything anyone says, and I especially don't trust you. She's your sister. Of course you'll protect her.
Oh, he's possessed by a demon. Hurry up and kill this child to set him free, Guillaume stated, still in a stance of prayer. Shinobu had noticed Yuki's silence, not wanting to reveal her true colors and intentions, but her attention was brought back to Tanjiro, who had begun to yell. Please, hear me out. I became a swordsman so I could protect Nezuko. It's been more than 2 years since she became a demon. In all that time, she hasn't bitten anyone.
You became a demon slayer to protect your sister?
Yuki finally asked, breaking her silence as she walked up behind Shinobu.
Yes!
Tanjiro shouted, looking at her. His eyes widened in surprise, quickly recognizing her.
It's you! You're the demon slayer with the demon powers!
Yuki felt her breath hitch, seeing out of the corner of her eye the rest of the Hashira get tense from his statement. Yuki quickly composed herself, looking down at Tanjiro.
I don't know what you're talking about. You clearly hit your head hard if you believe I was using demon powers. I know what I saw!
He shouted.
This conversation is going in circles,
Tengen stated, coming up and placing a hand on Yuki's shoulder.
And to make an accusation like that to one of your superiors only calls for greater punishment. I'm not sure about this,
Mitsuri spoke, coming up to Yuki's side.
The master of the mansion must be aware of this, so should we really handle it on our own? Shouldn't we wait till he gets back? I agree with Mitsuri,
Yuki spoke, facing the rest of her comrades.
We should wait for the master to arrive before we make any rash decisions. My sister has fought alongside me,
Tanjiro shouted, drawing everyone's attention back to him.
She could fight for the Demon Slayer Corps and protect people. Say, this is getting sorta interesting,
a voice said from the side. They all looked over to see Sanemi standing there with a box in his hand. One of the Kakushi members was trying to tell him to put it down, but Sanemi wasn't listening.
Is that the idiotic Corps member who travels with a demon? Just what is going on here anyway?
Our apologies, Lady Kocho, the Kakushi member stated.
Don't do anything rash, Sanemi,
Shinobu said, an annoyed expression crossing her face as she ignored the Kakushi member completely.
What about this demon boy?
Sanemi questioned.
You say she can protect people and fight for the Corps. That's incredible, amazing. Why, that's completely impossible, you fool!
He shouted as he impaled the sword through the box, blood on the end of his blade.
Sanemi, enough!
Yuki shouted, beginning to walk up to him. She stopped in her tracks when she heard Tanjiro shouting as he charged at Sanemi.
I don't care if you're a Hashira or not. I won't let anyone hurt my sister.
Stop. The master will be here soon, Giyu shouted. Tanjiro continued his charge, jumping up and headbutting Sanemi. The impact was so strong that it knocked Sanemi to the ground. Mitsuri let out a loud laugh, but apologized quickly after. If you can't tell the difference between a good demon and a bad demon, then you don't deserve to be a Hashira! Tanjiro screamed, now guarding the box containing his sister. Sanemi's eyes burned with rage as he stared down Tanjiro. He got up and started charging towards him.
The master of the mansion has arrived.
A voice spoke from the door.
Welcome, my dear demon slayers.
The master calmly spoke.
Good morning, everyone. It feels like a beautiful day. The sky is a perfect blue, isn't it? It makes me very happy that we can have our semi-annual Hashira meeting, and with our newest Hashira, Yuki.
Everyone quickly got on their knees, bowing to respect the master. Sanemi quickly held Tanjiro in place as he began to speak.
Master, I sincerely pray for your increased happiness. It is good to see you so healthy. Thank you, Sanemi. My apologies, but before the meeting, would you be so kind as to tell us about this core member who travels with a demon, Tanjiro Kamado? Yes, my apologies for surprising you. I have accepted Tanjiro and Nezuko, and I want everyone else to do the same.
There were many verbal objections to the master's claims, but he had one of his children read a letter from former Hashira Urokodaki. The letter left everyone, including Yuki, stunned. She had no idea Giyu had agreed to do that if Nezuko was to harm someone.
So what if he'll commit seppuku? If he wants to die, he can rot. It doesn't prove a thing,
Sanemi shouted.
Shinazugawa is right,
Rengoku stated.
If she kills and eats someone, it's irreversible. The dead won't come back. That is correct. I cannot guarantee or confirm that she will not attack people, Ubuyashiki stated. However, you cannot prove that she will attack people. It's a fact that Nezuko has not bitten anyone for over 2 years, and 3 people have staked their lives on her. If you would reject this, then you must offer something greater than Urokodaki's promise. The Hashira remained quiet for a moment, pondering on the master's words, but he continued with another sentence. Furthermore, Tanjiro has crossed paths with Kibutsuji. All of the Hashira had rushed over to Tanjiro, bombarding him with questions about Kibutsuji. Yuki sat there, trying to recall the name. It sounded familiar to her, but she couldn't put her finger on where she had heard it. Everybody's questions were silenced by Ubuyashiki, signaling he had more to say. Kibutsuji has sent his forces after Tanjiro. He may merely wish to silence him, but for the first time, Kibutsuji has shown his tail and we have grabbed it. I don't want to let go, and it's quite possible Kibutsuji may have seen something unexpected in Nezuko as well. Do you understand? No, master, I do not understand, Sanemi shouted. Letting a human live is one thing, but not a demon. I cannot agree. There is nothing normal about it. With that, Sanemi slashed open his arm, dripping blood onto the box Nezuko was inside. Master, demons are ugly and untrustworthy. I'll prove it to you. Sanemi, Ubuyashiki muttered, watching everything unfold before his eyes. Sanemi had walked past Yuki while his arm dripped of blood. As she stayed there on her knee, her head tensed up, and she felt a sharp pain shoot through her skull. She grasped at her head in agony, the smell of his blood much stronger than any human's. Her breathing had begun to quicken, and she could feel her arm and face tingling. Yuki? What's going on? Shinobu asked, grabbing Yuki's arm to look at her. Yuki wasn't able to get out a response, but Shinobu could feel an intense heat through her clothes. Shinobu looked up at the master in panic. Master! Something is wrong with Yuki! Ubuyashiki's expression was now one of worry, pointing to the door. Giyu, Shinobu, take her inside quickly. Get her away from Sanemi's blood. The two picked her up, helping her inside the mansion. They took her into a vacant room, both of them growing incredibly concerned as they heard a quiet growl coming from Yuki.